All right, it's o'clock. We're gonna get started with tonight's Dalton Township Planning Commission meeting for August 26th, 2025. Take to call the meeting to order. First up, we have roll call. Dave, I'm here. Casey? Here. Jesse? Here. Lee? Here. John? Here. Todd? Here. And Mark is not here. Yep. Agenda tonight, anything to add? You said nothing for tonight?
Yeah.
All right, making some with a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
For those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. For the approval of the minutes from July 29th, 2025, that meeting, and then resolution PC 25-09.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 29th meeting and resolution PC 25-09.
Or all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Support? All right, we're up to our first public comment for tonight. So if you have something you would like to speak on here, we have some new business farther down that we'll be covering, but pretty much an open agenda for tonight and beyond that. So I will, if you would like to speak, or if you have anything you would like to say, you can up to 3 minutes to ask questions, discuss anything you would like. So go ahead and open that up at 6:04. Do not have any speakers on public comment, so I'll go ahead and close public comment also at 6:04. We have no items for public hearing tonight. We do have a pretty lengthy planning and zoning staff report, which looks like you guys have definitely been busy. It's outstanding. No unfinished business, and now we will move up to new business tonight. We have the Lakewood Addition Sub-Area Plan. We have the community input survey responses, and then also the discussion of plan elements that we need to consider. So do we need to open that up, or is it just open for discussion?
That's just open for discussion.
Okay. Quite a wide array of I like the awesomelicious, or whatever that is. I do like that word. It hasn't been trademarked. Someone needs to. Awesomelicious.
I have a question. So the boundaries with red, that's the property of the plan.
Yeah.
Potential property.
So that is, that's the boundary of all the lands that were dedicated as part of this by the 2018 master plan. So this is the area that is being focused on and
Yeah. Okay.
putting together basically a future land use plan for it, since the 2018 didn't have a detailed plan for this section like it did the others.
Yeah.
What does the state do with their teeny tiny little parcels on here?
They haven't done anything. I've heard you can request them from the state, that the township will be able to request them from the state. And that's something that
Wow, yeah.
I would recommend recommending the township request them from the state.
Yeah, there's weird little green dots everywhere.
Yeah.
The county owns very little though, so they must actually do something with theirs.
Yes, and a number of those were actually purchased by the township on tax sales.
Could be
And so-
Oh, so some of the county ones are ones that reverted for,
Township.
oh yeah, okay.
Others are like along firm, those were acquired, I'm assuming for additional right of way.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
When you were talking about the state, like, it's not, wouldn't be purchased, it would just be like, we would take control of it kind of thing, like we would take responsibility for it instead of them.
I don't know how exactly that would work. They might be willing to just give us control. Purchase.
some time.
I tried to buy one from the state because there's one that was shown as state owned. Because I have a few lots around the very south end of this down here. And I tried to buy one from the state that was shown as state owned. And the state was digging into the records and said, oh, never mind, it's not ours, it's so-and-so's, it's somebody else's. And they shoved it off to the county. And the county said, no, we have no record of it, so we don't know it's about it. But that's it.
Yeah, well, it's just a phantom piece of.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's a private piece.
Yeah.
That has deeded access to it, that
There's no owner.
it's messy.
Oh, really?
And so in 3 years, when it's foreclosed down, the township will need to buy it. Or it'll go up for, public bid.
What's 3 years?
3 years is when, by state statute, if they haven't paid,
Oh, yeah, my taxes, right.
they can foreclose on it.
Yeah. All those tiny little lots scattered around, they're kind of messy. I mean, at some point, they're gonna get cleaned up by somebody, I think, but they're just kind of, they're messy and hard to get hold of people.
So looking through the response to the survey. Previous discussions about these lands, what are some issues that you feel the plan should be addressing? Should be the central focuses.
You know, that night, the people I talked to, the dumping of garbage and illegal activities were for sure two that were stated quite vehemently. And then again, I think that the map that was, where people could mark where they had issues with various activity and, you know, whether it was trash or activity that wasn't warranted, and then some of the information that goes in there. I think those are two things, but I guess the control of that area, at least having a plan so that it's like when it did happen, no one knew whose property was even being touched. So they're trying to figure out, once it touched, I mean, that was probably the majority of that area where that looked to was some private property, but mainly it was a lot of the township property. And you said there has been some activity where we've gone out and done some checking on those types of things, having some enforcement.
Yes, so we've been working primarily with law enforcement in most cases. There was, we've been able to put up trail cameras, and the trail camera we put up did catch somebody burning tires. And so we called the police, and our supervisor and maintenance supervisor went out, met with the state police. brought them back there. They weren't able to catch the person in the act, but they were able to hand that camera footage over to the police, and they're being prosecuted for a misdemeanor
Wow.
for burning tires, which has very bad environmental impacts.
Mhm.
And we're able to use that footage to identify the individuals as well. So that's a step in the right direction, and it is something that we can, it's a tool we have at our disposal to catch people who are dumping and
Yeah.
conducting illegal activities in that area. That's also, one camera that we placed in one location, and there are multiple locations. So coming up with a plan for how do we everywhere. Also an important aspect.
How much acreage is owned by the township in this subplat?
I believe it's about 500 acres. 700 previous, and then we sold about 200 acres.
In the middle, there's 11.
Yes.
Right.
And about 200 acres.
Is that what this is right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the blue highlighted areas.
Stephen, do you know if our township makes any accommodation for a situation where people have a lot of trash, tires, blight, garbage, rusty metal, but really can't afford to take it to our waste disposal area? They're willing to haul it, do some of the physical, but and I can see the financial part of it being in the way for some people.
We do try to work with people on a case-by-case basis, play his understanding, and if he sees continued progress,
Yeah, okay.
he's not going to.
Good faith, right.
Yeah, if he sees good progress in good faith, he's
Yeah.
not going to
That's
hold
good.
off on writing a ticket, because the ultimate goal is not to
Right,
take people to court. The
right.
ultimate goal is
Regenerated.
compliance,
Right,
and court costs add up, and we don't recoup them
that's good.
through court-imposed fines.
It sure would be easier for
Yeah.
someone like Clay to approach a property owner and, with I guess, the ability to say, look, if you're having trouble, maybe the township can help out, but we need some action.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
there are, township does offer a $25 voucher for residents and property owners to use the stuff.
Mhm.
So tonight is kind of the idea for this then is to discuss what plan elements we want to include.
Yes, so essentially, as I start writing a draft, what do you want to see in the plan? What direction do you want to see this go?
Oh, sorry.
That's it. I don't remember how big of lots Leatherman was planning. Weren't they like half acre? It seems like they're pretty small. Or were they just gonna meet our?
We wanted to split them into 5, which is about 25,000 acre lots. So a little over half to 3/4. Which, the village of Lakewood Club, which developed using this grid, was, their minimum buildable lot size is 20,000.
Mhm.
But they don't make any exceptions for anything less than that. You can't build that in that. I think 20, in regards to that 20,000 square foot lot, would be the floor minimum. I don't think it's a good idea to undercut what the village has established as an appropriate.
No, that's small enough by the time you need to get a well and septic on that. I mean, it's little.
And also the adjacent manufactured housing district is also 20,000 square feet.
I mean, that basically, that Leatherman chunk basically takes out, I don't know, roughly a third of the township owned or whatever. I have no idea how long it's taking to build it. It seems like they could build it fast enough. But cheap enough, it's out fast, I don't know. But I mean, so there's a potential there already for what, 800 houses? Oh, 400, excuse me.
He said he wanted to do about, I think he said 250.
250.
I think that would be definitely part of the plan is to the 220,000 square foot. Yeah, everybody okay with that? So we don't have competing, we don't lay something over the top of what they already have in Lakewood. What? Like, for the roughly half acre lots. Like, to have that part of the plan to help coordinate half acre lot parcels or whatever that is. Because didn't you say we would have to have that replatted then if we were gonna do that?
Replanting is an option. You could also reuse the existing streets with, you could fit the minimum 22-foot wide street inside of those 40-foot rights of way. There would be a very tight fit inside of the 25-foot right of ways. You could also add another lot. So make it a 50-foot right of way.
This whole area part, the whole Lakewood thing, I mean, this is all part of Lakewood still too, is it fall underneath, all in red, or is it?
No, so this is all outside of the village.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
this
oh,
is
so
the,
The black line is the, okay,
Yes.
yeah, okay, I see it. Read the chart.
Then the question also is that 20,000 roughly half acre lots. Where do you feel that's suitable in any specific areas, or should that apply throughout the entire area? I would recommend also having some sort of community forest or community preserve. Just because the intent of acquiring these was to have that with some limited development, which is actually would have been along Lakewood and Russell, right where Leatherman is taking that building. Having that, maybe not in township control, but more managed through maybe conservation easements on private property. Or, selling to people who are willing to keep them in larger chunks. And I would see that primarily as like the areas that are further away from the primary roads as being conducive to that. The closer you get to the primary roads, the more you're using, the more you're placing the necessary restrictions on land that's easy and cheap to build on. Would that lot size that we're talking about, that's 20,000 square feet or whatnot, would that be in conflict with what our, we have a minimum, or right, what's the minimum?
Our one's 1 acre.
Let's say it would be smaller, it would be smaller than what we, I guess I understand this is a kind of special thing, but yeah, I just curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, even an acre lot's not that big. I mean, them half acre ones are, they're crammed right in there pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a big lot, and it's not. Said once you get a septic.
But I wouldn't want to screw Leatherman up either. If
Yeah.
that's what he's already planning on, then.
Yeah.
So,
The theme that I read in among these comments is that people that live there want more property, or they want protection from any development. They want to buy the adjacent stuff.
That's a lot of response.
And kind of defeats the purpose. The way I look at this, the goal is housing. And maybe we get some of this off of the township. I don't know if anybody disagrees with that, but it sounds like, it's a way of saying, look, I don't want change at all. I want a buffer. I want the next half acre next to me, blah, blah, blah. I paid all my taxes. Now the township's doing this. And, it's kind of self-serving, but someone said in another meeting that in a different situation, but similar feelings was, well, you could move. That's not mean-spirited, but I think you just got to take it on the chin and, proceed with development the right way. I think there's a huge need for housing. I believe there is. You look at prices of properties being sold around the lakes areas. Even today, it's out of reach for a lot of young couples.
Yeah. Well, no, everybody's probably dying to wait to hear what I have to say about this. But, so I read the responses. I live right up against this area. And, initially we were talking about this might solve some of the crime issues in the area to get, private hands on this property. But, one thing that I think about is, and I'll try and be quick here, but I got a few things to say, is we'll start with the reaction from the survey, which there wasn't a ton of people that responded to this, but I think overwhelmingly there is this sense of preserving the natural area. Like that's the area, that's where we live is, we got some houses, there's a bunch of woods, and to build this area up like it's like Norton Shores or something would kind of disturb what we got going on here. On the other hand, you know me, and you knew where you lived when you bought, and what is possible and all this. But we're talking about like the direction of the township, right? And so, there's a heavy emphasis on preserving the natural areas, woods. If we are going to do development, it should be single family homes, none of this duplex apartment garbage. But it just keeps coming up. Peace and tranquility, picnic areas, campsites. I don't want to see rentals or industries or multifamily homes. Protect forest.
Wildlife, quiet.
Yeah, all quiet and peaceful. I don't want to see homes around us. Recreation use. That's part of one of the cool things about living here is having all the woods around us. And about crime, meth is already illegal. Dumping is already illegal. Okay. And with one trail cam, we already stopped somebody from dumping tires. Yeah, let's get a bunch of trail cams. Let's make them famous, right? And it isn't going to be long before word's out and it's off limits, and they'll go find somewhere other place to do this stuff. But take a look at one of the last questions here. And it is, how would you like the lands within the Lakewood additions to look 20 years from now? Because that's what we're deciding right now. It's like 20 years from now, 40 years from now, the direction that this is going, right? And just as it is now, peaceful and spacious, thriving country community, natural, public lands. Now, I understand that the responses were low, but man, that is
That's pretty overwhelming when you look 20 years out, what you want this thing to be like. So my feeling about this, I know everybody's on the edge of their seat, is that if we do anything, it should be like limited to like 10% of this area. Opened up for single family dwellings with whatever stipulations, and let's do 10%. See what happens, you know, but no duplexes, nothing like that, because here's the thing is nobody's building $500,000 homes in this area. Okay, it ain't gonna happen. So what I'd hate to see is a bunch of development in here, get a bunch of starter homes and wind up with an even bigger problem, right? Bunch of renters and stuff like that and all the activity that comes with that. So that's my feeling about it is I think overwhelmingly, I think a lot of people don't want a lot to change, a bunch of subdivisions. And if we do anything at all, I'd say like 10% of this needs to get opened up. And we can always do more later. But
That's kind of the direction I was heading, I guess, the amount that Platinum already brought.
that's
You
south
put it a
of,
different way, I guess, that you,
that's south of Lakewood, right?
yeah, south of Lakewood, that whole thing there is what Leatherman bought. Which is roughly, well, like Steve said, it was 200 of the 800 acres the township had, which is already a big chunk, so
Why don't we wait and see how that goes?
that's kind of what I was, yeah. See what that does, because that's already a lot of
That's a big
development,
chunk,
right?
yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, so there's a potential of 250 houses. Like I said, I have no idea if he's gonna build in 5 years or 20 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I hate to
But we took a
be a
great
big
big
wet
chunk
blanket.
out, you know, a big one.
I hate to be a big wet blanket, but in looking at all this, man, if we open that all up, it could be a mess in like 5 years. And the other thing somebody mentioned was that we don't have police local. I don't see the overwhelming outcry to go develop all this.
You know, the thing that several people mention is that they have property that borders those parcels. And they're saying they're not, and again, just using the words that they put in there is that they were not able to make the purchase of those for whatever reasons. Would it not make sense to go to some of those properties that are boundary properties and say, hey, listen, because again, if someone buys the additional property, they're probably not putting another house on it. It would go to natural, other uses. See, yeah, you know, it would be something that they might be able to put a pole barn or something on, but a general rule. I don't know how you entice that, or if you just announce that, you know, and again, not giving favored status to somebody, say, listen, you have property that touches that. Are you interested? I guess
Yeah, and I think you can have a
that would be
system
tricky.
where there's tiers of priority. Or maybe adjacent property owners, or maybe you say, you know, adjacent property owners with a homestead. That property at first priority, and then adjacent homeowners or adjacent property owners get second priority on certain size lots. And then, you know, other lots are, you know, maybe if they're in that 10% area, or if they're on a major road, we can say, you know, you have 2 years. We'll sell it to you, you have 2 years to build, otherwise, you know, the township can buy it back, or something like that.
I just don't see where the fire's at. I hate to say it, I just don't see where the fire's at. This is a law enforcement problem. And, yeah, before we disturb the vibe in our area, we gotta just push back on the county or whoever's responsible to police this and be the squeaky wheel until they do something. Like, we shouldn't have to go without woods because these degenerates are running around doing whatever they do.
I live right next to this. I could probably, in short time, be in a meth camp from my house, you know, so. But I don't want to see the woods go. I don't want to have more neighbors.
I don't personally think, even if you open this all, if you combine the township stuff into large parcels, I don't think there's gonna be a line of people looking to develop this. I think Leatherman's taking quite a chance, and maybe if his was like shockingly successful, then maybe you'd have that problem, but even if you sold this to private landowners, all the blue, I don't think it would do anything but stay woods. But the nice thing about having a private landowner, especially people coming there to hunt, is they're serious, like you're not on their land, like they're normally armed and they're happy to tell you that they own it and stuff, so. But I don't see like all these subdivisions or what all these people think will happen. I really don't see this becoming a bunch of mass subdivisions. There's very few subdivisions being built right now. And even though housing is is in such a crunch, there's not subdivisions going up all over Muskegon County because building costs are still so high.
Houses are so, I mean, even what Leathermans are building, I mean, that's not,
Oh,
it's
no,
not a
they're
starter
gonna-
home.
No, it's not. They're gonna be
Still,
expensive
it's
too,
like-
I think.
I think, what was he saying, around 300,000, like 300,000 or something like that, it's not.
That's in the market now is about 300,000.
Yeah.
He's told me he's looking at ways to make them more cost effective so we can lower that price.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it's 300 to 325 is where anything is. Any new home is in the market, especially in this area.
Is his plan, is it where you can come in and say, I want to pick this spot right here and you can build your house? Or is he developing the spots in a pattern?
So the way he develops is he will build a couple houses at a time, sell them, and then build a couple more houses.
Okay.
So he's
So
very
spec house.
slow in developing. He doesn't build an entire subdivision at a time. Way like Consumers Energy would really like that, so they can just, knock everything out all at once.
Yeah.
So he builds a couple houses at a time. So if we have, let's say something happens in the plan halfway through, a quarter of the way in, it's no longer feasible, or something else happens where he's no longer building and developing, we're not gonna have a giant empty subdivision. It's just gonna be, built as roads built sequentially.
They're gonna keep working their way in.
As needed, not everything all at once.
So there's not anything that really, for that particular program, nothing that needs to be done for him. He's gonna work his way through doing what he does, and he could have a great system, and hopefully that works for him. And
Yeah, anything would likely be a planned unit development. Or it would either be a planned unit development, or we would need to create different. For that, I see planned unit development being a better option for the township, because it's a better way to facilitate that.
Has he discussed that at all, or been in discussion about that?
Yes, he has been. I've been talking to him about the PUD process.
Okay.
I see he's been at the meeting and stuff, is he still kind of working on it before he starts building some more in that area?
Yes, so right now he is building on the lots he owns along Automobile.
Okay.
I believe he has permits for 6 houses right now.
Yeah, he's here because he's gonna be paying for that road paving, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, quite a few parcels paid for that.
I just don't think it's reasonable to keep too much of this like forested township property without having issues. You're never going to get any policing agency to be trekking out in the woods to make sure everything's all good. Like we would need, the township would actually need to develop these into places that people wanted to be, to keep, to keep people on the parcels and in the area, making sure that everything's good. If we just say the township's gonna keep all of this land and do nothing with it except keep it natural and forested, you're gonna continually have problems with, I mean, that's since the dawn of time. Like, where did y'all spend in high school when you were evading the police and doing bad things? You were back in the woods down a 2-track, right? I mean, that's,
Somewhere else to do that.
yeah, but, yeah.
Call the police, trail cams, make them famous, and
There
at
were
least
no
this
cell
area.
phones at that time in life, so I deny everything.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we're just gonna push it back into this area.
Right.
Like, it's just gonna move. We're gonna have more people with more kids and whatnot. We're just gonna push that whole area a little bit further. But still always gonna probably be on the edge of where people live.
Yeah, because there's so much vacant land back there. Even if you developed to the east, I know what you're saying, if you developed east,
Yeah, they'll just have to
East
drive
of
a
Russell
little
Road.
longer.
that's what you're saying, yeah, because there is all private lots back there, but there's nothing there.
Where is the worst problem if you had to pick a spot in here that's lots of crime, lots of garbage, lots of problems happening on the parcels?
I would say the areas to the east of, like Madison, Forest Park, Kenwood, out in that area.
Oh, up there,
There's
okay.
People are, every now and again will camp. There's a camp we're currently working on.
Okay, So
someplace out,
on the east side of all those roads, on the north side of all the dots?
kind of on the fringes of,
Okay,
Basically, the fringes of all the,
like right here.
yeah, but all the way along the whole way, I would say.
it's all along that whole section where there's houses.
And through here,
Oh, okay,
where all this stuff butts into it.
okay,
And that's what John's saying, if you put more houses there, you're just gonna push that back and push it back and push it back.
yep,
Because even though this is all private, there's nothing out there.
right,
It's woods clear over it.
yep.
People go about 500 feet back into the woods and then do whatever they want. 'Cause they're outside.
You want to focus on trail cams, and it won't take long before a lot of this gets cleaned up. I mean, really, you guys have already done one trail cam, and somebody's already in trouble. Like, I don't know, that's pretty good, actually.
So, something I'd like to work with Eagle and the Conservation District on is kind of that wetland by Madison and Strand, northeast of there, where there's, people are mud bogging and 2-tracking and going through that wetland. And it's been like that for years. That's just something that, over time, the intent is for if the area, that's something that needs to be preserved and in a more natural state. So that kind of habitat and vegetation can thrive. So it's comparing the one just to the west of there versus that one. You can look at the pictures and the big difference. There's untouched versus driven on daily.
So some generalities, like we threw out something as far as square footage for building a home, that type of thing, but how do you incorporate, like you said, a 10% or a percentage? Is that what we would like to see as something for this, to say that it needs to be natural, or?
And I see the areas that would be appropriate for opening up for development outside of what Leatherman owns is along Russell, along White Lake, And then in that little area, where with Chicago and Drexel by Goose Egg Lake
Mhm.
and Catalpa Park. That's an area where a lot of the land is privately owned. And the township selling some of its property could help some people out, and the infrastructure is already there. We're not gonna be cutting down a lot of forests to do that. But everything kind of inland, a couple blocks inland from those streets. Would be would be a great demarcation line to say, this is about where it would stop. For what we're looking at, holding off on developing. Basically anything that, if it's on an existing road, okay, that makes sense. Or if it's close to an existing road, that makes sense. If it's kind of off the road and further back, then maybe we don't want to bring a lot of streets back there. Or maybe it's on a case-by-case basis. But, like John was saying, maybe we only sell 10% or develop 10% of those lands that the township owns.
So you don't want to designate anything as a natural area or anything in those plots, just to leave.
I think it's a good idea to designate at least some as natural areas, especially if there's high value natural features like those wetlands. But also, a good section of woodlands as well.
Stephen, it's been a while since the developer made his presentation to us. Would it be of value to have him come back? Hear of any potential changes? Maybe we could explain to him some of the concerns or issues that we've talked about tonight.
I mean, he could come back. I think his plans kind of stayed the same.
You
What
said,
he'd like to do.
yeah, did you say he's got 6 homes under construction on automobile?
There's 6 permitted on our.
Okay,
2 he started.
gotcha.
They're almost finished. But he hasn't begun the other 4.
Yeah. I'd be interested to hear what's the market look like now, 6 months later? Has he seen any of the comments?
No, he's not.
Have we given enough direction, or is there things that we need to? I feel like we've kind of thrown some real general stuff out there, but I don't know, like I said, maybe it's not.
I'm personally opposed to any of this. I don't see where the fire's at. I think it's an enforcement issue. I think we're doing something that, where's the fire? So I'm opposed to
What do
any
you
of
mean
this.
by that? Like, who are the buyers? Where are the interested parties? The one
Yeah,
buying
where's
homes?
Yeah, I mean, we got this huge thing over here that is, somebody's picking away at it. This is an enforcement issue, and
That makes sense to me, is this area. I don't know what to call it.
Where leather goes.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks like that would be prime, good access to Russell. I don't know if that's a crime riddled area.
I think it's more east Russell than it is west, I think.
Sounds
From what I've seen.
Yeah, there's more people over here.
Yeah.
Well, and there's less two tracks over there.
Yeah.
All your two tracks are over here.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of it is, just,
More Russell east of the.
there's nothing back, you know, nothing goes on there.
But, I mean, that's, crime is also only one facet of the plan. It's primarily a land use plan.
Yeah.
Which directs our policy and procedures as well, and advises the board as well on what lands should you be selling, what lands should you not be selling. You know, what are the appropriate uses on these lands? You know, which lands should be held, which lands should be sold. That kind of like, how much of it should we actually sell? Because lately there have been a lot more requests. I don't know if it's because put a moratorium on selling them, so people wanna,
people want a buffer.
yeah,
And that's,
people want that buffer.
Maybe the sheriff's,
Understand that.
maybe the sheriff's department would be willing to hear the concerns of this crime, this ongoing crime from the township. And, you know, maybe come up with some mutual strategy to eradicate it rather than, you know,
They're aware
yeah.
that there's activity in that area. I've seen
Right.
state police and sheriffs in that area a number of times.
They're basically about 200 feet this way, 600 that way.
Okay. That's my other thing too, yeah, the argument, what you guys still need to be doing that.
yes, enforcement works. I have brand new neighbors now because enforcement took place.
Too small, so
I mean,
why
it's-
would you buy a half acre lot?
It's trail cams.
Wanted to actually have private ownership.
It's preserve like what.
Why would you buy it?
See, that's what I thought that we were gonna be talking about, is making some of these parcels bigger. Like, so that they're actually usable, because right now they're all platted so tiny, and I thought we were gonna try to, they're all what?
Basically,
Class.
That's something that
Okay,
it's all throughout.
this whole section.
Yeah.
And that's something that I would also.
I don't know, it's hard.
I plan on doing well an analysis of each individual subdivision.
Okay.
Because some subdivisions, there's like,
I would do that.
15, 20 owners. and other subdivisions, there's 250 to 300 owners. And the cost of replatting, which is what would be necessary to make those larger and close off those streets, is entirely dependent on how many
Get after it.
people you have to serve with the lawsuit.
Sure, yep.
Serve
I
everybody,
didn't know there was any activity here at all anyway.
and then go through circuit court. And convince them that you don't need those roads anymore.
Right.
Is this Hardy
And
Stewart?
so it's, someone's telling me that they went through, it's like, it's $20,000 to $25,000 in a few years
Yeah.
just to do that process.
Like this section down here, are these, like this looks like it might be a road down Automobile, like down to the edge of the highway.
Yup.
It's a two-track.
It's a two-track at the end of Automobile. It
Okay,
goes straight down to the highway and then it veers southeast.
okay.
And then it takes you right, it kind of, there's a little turnaround just past the cell tower.
Are there any other roads in this area in that little weird shape?
There's a couple.
Right, so there's like, you could only take your car down there to the end. Oh, because there's a cell phone tower down there.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of two tracks that go here and there.
Oh, yeah,
I haven't been able to take a good look at them because there's a trees over the top of them. But
Yeah.
it's basically That section, there's a large between the highway and the power lines. I don't see this being too conducive to development
Right.
anyway.
Park on this lake, right?
It's
It'd be great placement if somebody wanted to,
Yep.
if we wanted to rent it out as a solar farm.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's the. So this is an area where that's just naturally conducive to being left alone as community forest.
It's crazy to me that the township owns this much and like it's not being used for anything. It's just sitting there waiting for people to do bad things on it instead. Like, and it just makes me wonder how many people in the township don't have any idea how much township land there actually is here to, well, 25 people know, because that's all that responded to the survey, but it's a shame that this isn't something that's like worthwhile for the community.
That's something that we can hold on to for a few years and, as, I know there's more focus on maintaining the existing parks instead of expanding and spending money on new parks. But I think seeing like there are a number of people that either currently do or used to walk in this area, ride bikes and that kind of thing, kind of a undirected recreation.
When I I lived there for 15 years. And early on, we would go walking back in there because it's nice area back in there. Just go for walks. I wouldn't go back there unarmed and not a large group today.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of the idea is to, inform the township's future policies and potential net sales.
The thing is, with the sheriff's department and enforcement and stuff, they wouldn't even deal with the Ricky Hobby situation. Like after a point, they were just like, okay, we're done. Like, what is the advantage to the sheriff's department to go out there and do anything about it? Like, why would they even consider that? Like, what would be the point? Because like, even if they got all the people off this, like how many people would actually use the land? Like, you're not gonna get the sheriff's department to go out there and try to help our enforcers clean it up if like 4 people are gonna suddenly ride their bike on a trail that they couldn't before. Like,
So
they're just so busy and short-staffed, I just don't see it.
and they wouldn't go out for anything like a civil infraction.
Right,
It's hard to get them out on a noise complaint,
yeah,
which is what we like as, more often than not, there's also a lot of noise complaints. But they will go out for things like misdemeanors, like if we see people burning tires or even dumping garbage, a lot of times, if we can catch them and if we provide the evidence and do a lot of the legwork, they'll be more willing to take it up and.
Is that something the township has time to, or do we have staff members that can put a lot of time into this? Because it sounds like if you're talking about putting a bunch of trail cams up, that reviewing that footage, I mean, all of this takes so much time. Is it feasible that the township actually has the ability to do that?
I think it's feasible to do a little bit,
Okay,
bit,
so pick and
Go a long
choose
way.
what areas you wanna,
because it's a matter of, you get a notification on the phone and it says, or it just shows a picture and it's like, okay, it's just a kid riding a bike. Okay, there's someone on a go-kart. Like, oh, someone riding through with a truck full of tires. That, maybe
Right.
someone should take a look at that.
I disagree a little bit. If it is indeed things like meth and, professional drug users, indigents, that are living off the land, things like that. And it's got to come to a stop. And, it's only going to get worse. There's children in the area. I would think any responsible community would do what they can with their resources to make it go away, solve the problem, rather than just shove it under the rug. Because these are it sounds like these are serious professional drug users. And, they don't care about the community. They think it's great. Nobody's bothering them back there, I'm sure. I don't know, that's how I feel about it.
Some have said
some,
those people have been there 2 years
yeah,
and some longer. And,
yeah.
It's like one of those things where, the wheel's it's not squeaky.
Yeah, it's not like
Usually-
they're, Friday night after the dance, small beer parties, bonfire, whatever. This is to me, from what I've heard, this is a different level of drug use, alcohol use, whatever. And it sounds bad that they've been there that long, they continue to be there. You got one guy in jail, he's out, whatever. He probably needs a lot more help than,
No road
Couple
should
nights
be
in
clothing
jail.
optional, and not our township. I mean, that to me is one of those things that, just,
yeah.
it lays.
Yeah, exposing to the
Yeah, crazy.
kids, that's,
It's an enforcement issue.
I just wonder if our town,
And the bottom line is there's crime and somebody needs to do something about it. And the answer is not to sell off a bunch of property. That this guy over here has all this big chunk of property, selling $300,000 homes, and it's going at a snail's pace. So what is the pricing on the houses going to be like to get people to actually build and move in here if this guy can't sell $300,000 home? Like, what are we going to be getting? So bottom line is, we are creating a solution for a problem that already has a solution, which is enforcement. And if the people in law enforcement in our area that are supposed to be taking care of that aren't doing it, then we need to bang our fist on the counter and be the squeaky wheel until something happens, because this is unacceptable.
It's not that they, but I just don't think you're they don't have the time. There's children here, so I can't tell you but
They got money for everything. Under the sun.
they're short-staffed. I know several deputies from the sheriff's department right now, and
I don't care.
there's like an hour wait time when people are
I
eating
get it. I get it.
an assault, a physical assault. There's an hour wait time on some evenings to get a deputy or state police or
I
anybody.
understand.
And I just don't.
Wholeheartedly understand.
I would rather see us sell off to adjacent landowners to have them police their own property, to start, circling the fences around their property. And the more we could get landowners to get some of the adjacent parcels to theirs, the smaller and smaller the area would be where the problem is. Maybe then something the smaller you make the problem, the more viable it is to find a solution to fixing the problem. But when it's spread out over 500 acres, it's not like, like Steven said, we have to take tiny little morsels off. And I think it's a two sides. Like, first of all, no, I don't see housing development here at all. I think it's great natural, but I'd like to see the township be less responsible for the parcels and individual landowners be more responsible for their parcel. That's all. I do not see development here. Like you say, if he builds 2 houses like every 6 months, it's going to be centuries before anything's done in this area. So it's definitely not housing. Even if we sold these parcels to like the adjacent landowners, I don't think they'd build on it. I think they would just have more property to take care of. And
Well, maybe I'm not opposed to that
a
at
little
all.
bit of both,
Yeah,
like
like-
policing in the areas we can, but maybe thinking about, like you said, homestead people, like, or people who actively use their parcel. I would hate to see us start offloading a bunch of people to other areas in other states and stuff where they're not going to be an active participant in their land. Like, but people who live here, people who make their home somewhere in Dalton Township, you know, it wouldn't be so bad maybe if they owned some land that they could take care of and take some of the burden off the township, just some of it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, if they own property there, like, I rushed to try and buy the parcel right down my house. The township was kind of unreasonable with their offer, and I declined it. But you know, if they encourage the property owners there that live there to buy up lots around them, I'm good with that. Create a little bit more buffer, a little bit more ownership of the surrounding area, but to open it up willy-nilly as if that's a solution to fight this problem, opposed to that 100%.
But yeah, that won't make.
But I'm not opposed to letting homeowners in the area buy property.
Right. Happy with that, yeah.
Because they're the ones that live there.
Yeah.
If they want to buy it. I mean, I didn't want to buy that parcel beyond the house to like neglect it and, you know, whatever.
Right.
Now it's the township's problem because I'm not buying it. So,
Yeah, it'd be nice to open it up to the public where they could buy it, I guess, as far
Right.
as adjacent landowners, you know.
The moratorium is still in place for not being able to
Yes.
purchase anything.
Until something's adopted.
So once, that, I guess that would be one reason to do this then, is to give the plan. So I guess, I mean, we just kind of talked about the homesteaded parcels that are adjacent. Would have a,
Yeah, what Steve was saying earlier, the tiered system.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Start with that, and then yeah, it's not
I mean, I've seen the drone footage when you take it up. Like my daughter got one that's, you can take it up pretty high. You see what's around us. We've got trees everywhere, you know, and that's what the beauty of the whole thing is. So, you know, I'm not trying to say we were gonna go in there and open it up and get a sawmill right here, or, you know, or
That'd be
something here, you
terrible.
know, it'd be like, you know, I don't see that. Like, it is what it is. I mean, that area is gonna define itself, but I don't think we have to push anybody into anything. But I think the opportunity for someone like yourself, if you said, hey, listen, if the offer's right, what do those parcels go for? You've got a business transaction now that puts you in a position to protect your existing land
Yeah,
by having
yeah.
something next to it.
if that was the township's purpose, then they need to come off the land for a little bit more reasonable price. That's all I'm saying.
Because those people are pretty much getting it for free right now, so that's not a good deal for you. Yeah.
Well, no, they're not getting it for free. We're paying for it.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's,
All right, then there's, so as far as, I don't think, do we need to address that we want to see this remain? You know, with, I don't know if we have to put a number on it or whatever. I think letting Leatherman do his thing there that's a good experiment. So I don't think we need to protect anything else or say you can't, because the thing is, it's there now, but no one can buy it now if they wanted to anyways. So let's see what neighboring property owners have to say. Is there anything else on that we need to, that you'd like to see incorporated, or questions that we need to, that PUD for Leatherman, that's not anything that would be part of this, correct?
so we would be essentially setting, minimum standards that would be applied. But that one has to be backed by a plan. And so this plan, can be used to back anything that, like the densities in this plan that we feel are appropriate for that area would be the minimum densities that you could, that you could apply.
What are the lot sizes in this area that's already developed here? Like the subdivision there in Morningstar and Horizon?
Those are likely 20,000,
So,
roughly half an acre.
so, I mean, would it be reasonable if you said like, oh, this would be pretty much the only corridor that you could have? Because I'm not sure I want this whole entire area to be just tiny little half-acre lots. Shouldn't somewhere in here it resemble more of like R1 at least, and not this? I can understand like the border of Lakewood. This seems like a great area to try to be similar, but not down here. I'm not even sure about like up here, if we should be trying to be a little larger in that area, or I don't know if that was gonna be in your plan or.
Well, like the conservation lots have to be 5 acres. Which then you have larger plots, which naturally you'd have more trees in the area, you know, something like that, where you'd have, would rezoning be possibly an option for some of this?
Potentially.
It'd be little, it'd be such a small area.
That's like we're kind of doing that.
It'd be little.
We would essentially be doing a PUD for by creating a different zoning district. And with a PUD, we can also average as well. So if you want, you know, do smaller lots in a certain area, and then you could take a couple blocks and just make that like a community area as well. And that would allow for an average density where you could do, you know, let's say he does 15,000 square foot lots, but he has enough green space in the middle where it averages. The density is applied. The minimum density is applied to the entire development area.
What about a motion to summarize some of the highlights of recommendations, concerns, table it until next month and refine it into a proposal?
I think we're just having a discussion, right?
It won't get all done at once.
Yeah, so essentially I'd like to, we're gonna come up with, I wanna take this discussion and formulate a preliminary draft.
Yeah.
Of kind of what we're thinking about, and then over time hone that, discuss it.
Sure.
That way,
I
you
agree.
know, I come up with a draft, and you're probably gonna say, well, I don't, you know, I don't care for that. Let's change that,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, that's the idea is,
Yeah,
you know, I'm the one writing stuff down.
100%.
Ideas, but you guys are the ones, who are appointed to
Yeah,
guide that and make that decision and call.
perfect.
Get the trail cams linked to your website.
Yeah.
All the township residents can watch them. Someone will let you know when you
I'll
need
put
it.
them up.
Yeah.
People watch it.
Recognize the people potentially, and then,
Yeah, the Facebook post, there was no shortage of people. As soon as that thing was posted, it was everybody and their brother that's ever known these people was diming them out. Like it was a race to disclose who these people were, where they live.
Let's see.
Yeah. On the Dalton Township Facebook
Okay.
page.
That's cool.
all right, are we pretty well set on that then? Yep. Okay. Well, we are through our new business, which takes us to the next item number 10, which would be adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support. We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are over at 7:10.